Good morning, everybody. Mike's MMA Picks here with your Fight Morning Quick Card Breakdown show brought to you by BetDSI as well as MMA Oddsbreaker. We've got a very early start today. UFC Fight Island 8, Neil Magny versus Michael Chiesa. 14 fights, 28 fighters, all made weight. 8 out of these 14 fights are expected to go to a decision. Let's burn through this card. We'll talk DraftKings. We'll also talk picking winners here and discussing a few plays. First fight of the night is a women's fight at 125 pounds, where we have Manon Fearhook taking on Victoria Leonardo. Fearhook coming in 30 years old, 5-1 record, excellent striker with karate background, taking a few fights overseas, coming in against Victoria Leonardo, 8-2 record, 7,300 plus 165 underdog, also 30 years of age. We saw last time out on Contender Series, faced a fighter in Hackett where she basically tore down a hype train. I don't see that happening here. I see Fearhook getting the victory, and also this being a showcase fight for her. There are no certainties in this game, but the stand-up, there's a huge discrepancy there, and it seems like Fearhook has a somewhat of a competent ground game. When she first burst onto the scene, she had many holes, but it seems like she's shored that up. So give me a Fearhook to take home the victory. Next up, we have men's 135-pounders, where we have Sergey Morozov, 16-3 overall record. Lowest price fighter in DraftKings, 6,700 plus 370 at the betting window, taking on the world-renowned Umar Nurmagomedov. Nurmagomedov, 12-0 record, 9,500 in DraftKings, minus 520. Yes, that is correct, minus 520 at BetDSI. Wide line here, my friends. This fight's expected to go to a decision at minus 175. I was impressed with Morozov's performances in M1. Nurmagomedov is going to look to come in here, use his versatile striking as well as grappling to nullify Morozov. I think that's going to be a challenge for him here. I see him eking out a decision. There are no certainties in this game. Major, big-time wide line here, but I'll be picking Nurmagomedov to get that victory. Next up, third fight of the night, where we have Mason Jones coming in with a head of steam, 10-0 record, 7,400 in DraftKings, plus 130 at the betting window. Coming down from welterweight, he has fought over in Cage Warriors and is a double champ, coming up to take on Mike Davis. Mike Davis, we know, has faced, Sadiq Youssef, Gilbert Burns in the UFC, and he actually has fought at 145 pounds. So Mason Jones does look like he carries a little extra baggage on his frame. This fight at 155 pounds, I believe, is their natural weight class, 8,800, minus 160 for Mike Davis. Mike Davis, the reach is nullified here. Mike Davis is a heavy hitter. Mason Jones, striking defense leaves a lot to be desired out there. This fight, I suspect, is going to incorporate many pops on the button here. I think that it's going to be a battle of survival, a war of attrition, so to speak. And Mike Davis, I just see him landing the kitchen sink on Mason Jones. Although Mason Jones is a quality fighter, and we know that he is tough as nails, he can take some damage, and he's going to take some damage here in my eyes. So give me Mike Davis in a war. Next up, we head to the 125-pound division. Tapology has this one wrong, so keep your eyes out. Watch those weigh-ins yesterday. You saw Francisco Figuerato coming in here, the younger brother of UFC flyweight champion Devison Figueiredo, taking on Jerome Rivera. Jerome Rivera knocked out in his last time out by Tyson Nam. Rivera coming in 7,700 plus 120 underdog. Some slick submissions for Jerome Rivera. Long, lanky fighter is going to come in here with some reach. And you look at Figuerato. He's been around the block. Fights exactly like his brother, but he's not the same. Not the same guy. Tries to be, and the the reflexes aren't there for Figueiredo. He could potentially have some success here against Rivera. This is a very closely lined fight. Figueiredo, this is a tough fight to call, because if Rivera showed, if he was a stronger fighter and he had some TKOs on his resume, and Figueiredo would take Rivera's striking as a threat. I don't think he's going to. You saw Nam last time out walk right through the low leg kicks. I know that looks good, and it may rack up points for Rivera, but Francisco Figueiredo, I see him walking through a lot of what Rivera has to offer here. This fight, I think that the line is a little blown up because of the Figueiredo namesake. I'm going to lean and pick Rivera here. I think that he's the larger fighter, and down the stretch, it could pose Figueiredo some problems in his octagon debut. So give me Rivera to score an upset here. Next up, we have men's 185-pound fighters. This also is another one where Tapology had the weight classes wrong. Marcus Perez coming in at 185 pounds here. Marcus Perez 12-4. Overall record 7,600 in DraftKings, plus 115 at the betting window, 30 years old. Perez coming off of the knockout loss last time out, and the Joker at the weigh-ins, he got rid of that tomfoolery, taking on Dalcha champion, Dalcha Longambula. Longambula coming in 10-2 record, hit the scales, came in at 186 pounds, dropping from light heavyweight. We've seen him at heavyweight as well, 8,600 in DraftKings, minus 145 betting favorite. Has a little bit of a reach. It's going to be the much bigger fighter when they come into the octagon. Perez has trouble with fighters who are much larger and stronger than he is, and we saw it against Eric Anders. We've seen it a few other times. Wellington Turman. In this spot, I was originally eyeing Marcus Perez because I know that he does have good cardio and the ground game is there for him. Lungambula, though, is a judo practitioner by trade, and I'll be picking Dalcha to get the win here. I think that he is going to put some fear in the eyes of Marcus Perez with his heavy strikes and also his wild manners out there. That he's just very unpredictable, and Perez is coming off of that knockout loss, so dangerous spot for him. Next up, 125-pounders, where we have Zaruk Adashev, 28 years old, 6,900 in DraftKings, looking to bounce back after his knockout loss to Tyson Nam, 6,900 in DraftKings, plus 355 at the betting window. Still 28 years of age. This guy has a bunch of kickboxing bouts under his belt, and he's only has a 3-2 overall mixed martial arts record, taking on Suma Jerry Muderji, 9,300, minus 505 favorite, 25 years old. Long, lanky striker. We saw last time out versus Gordon. He can put your lights out in a heartbeat. Adashev is going to have to be careful here. He's at a tremendous reach disadvantage. Those left hands are going to be coming quick and fast, and I think they are going to catch Adashev. This fight's not expected to go to decision at minus 275, and I see Muderji scoring a knockout victory in this spot. Adashev, I think they rushed him along, and there should be a 115-pound class for somebody like him. He doesn't. He looked pudgy at 135 pounds. Now dropping to 125 pounds, still looks very small for the weight class. Next up, 135 pounders. Ricky Simone taking on Gaetano Perillo. Perillo, 28 years of age. Both of these guys, 28 years of age. 6,900 in DraftKings, plus 355 underdog for the Belgian fighter, coming out of the European beatdown scene. Did fight a notable name, Arnold Allen, back in 2014, though, so that isn't relevant right now. 9,400 for Ricky Simone. Ricky Simone should come out here, land a ton of takedowns, and that's his path to victory. He could potentially get caught. He's got to be careful. We saw against Uriah Faber that was an issue. I think he is playing with fire against a Muay Thai fighter here who is a threat. But give me Ricky Simone. Next up, we head to the middleweight division where we have Tom Breeze, 12-2 record, technical fighter, 8,700 minus 160 over at BetDSI, 29 years of age, taking on Omari Akhmedov. Akhmedov, 25-1 record, moving up from 170. He's been up at 185 for a few fights. Had a decent showing against Chris Weidman. What I was really impressed with, though, was his fight against Ian Heinisch. He appeared to really befuddle Heinisch in that spot. 7,500 plus 130 for Akhmedov. Akhmedov is a wild man in there. He does have grappling. He comes from a great camp out of ATT. Tom Breeze, coming over from Europe. He is, like I mentioned earlier, a technical fighter who does possess ground skills, not the best takedown defense. Going to look to stand and pick Akhmedov apart here. I believe he will have success early in that endeavor, although the longer this fight goes, Akhmedov could pose a serious threat for Breeze. I think that he does get in on those hips at some point. He works his way inside and gets Breeze on his back and causes him some problems. I don't think this is going to be an easy walk in the park for Tom Breeze. I'll actually be picking Omari Akhmedov to score an upset here, although I wouldn't be surprised to see Tom Breeze do his best to stay elusive and pump that jab, and we'll see what happens. But I'll be picking Akhmedov here. I think that Tom Breeze has been broken in the past, and I think that may happen here. Next up, men's 145 pounders, where we have Douglas Silva de Andrade, who's fought the who's who. He's fought Renan Barão, Peter Yan, Marlon Vera, Rob Font. I mean, that's a murderer's row of fighters. $7,000 in DraftKings, plus 255 underdog here. He is 35 years of age, still looks terrific on the scales, taking on Lerone Murphy. Lerone Murphy, 9-0-1 fighter, has a reach advantage here. Big power. All he needs to do is touch you with either of his hands, and you'll feel the power. 9,200 minus 330 now. This line has continued to widen in time. This fight isn't expected to go to a decision at minus 155. I do think Andrade is a threat in this spot. Lerone Murphy, does he warrant this massive price tag? That is a question. We may not see a lot of output from Murphy in this spot, but the punches that he does throw could potentially land and put Andrade out of there. I think this is going to turn into a dog fight. I will be picking Murphy, though. Next up, we have Tyson Nam taking on Matt Schnell. This is a battle between flyweights here. Nam, low output fighter, has 11 losses that on his record that have come, or 8 of his 11 losses have come via decision. 37 years of age. Got to wonder when that timing is going to start to drop off, when those reflexes are going to drop off. He's going to need to stay quick and alert here against the Matt Schnell, who's coming in with a 4.5-inch reach advantage, 7,800 plus 105 underdog for Matt Schnell. Matt Schnell is very chinny, and he's going to do his best to try to get this fight to the mat. That's his path to victory here. 8,400 minus 135 over for Tyson Nam. Tyson Nam, boatloads of confidence right now, is a knockout threat at any time. This fight isn't expected to go to a decision at minus 160. give me Tyson Nam here. I think that at some point he's going to run. Matt Schnell's going to run into something. Next up, 125-pound women fighters. We've got Viviane Araujo. Araujo coming in. She's 34 years of age, so she's getting up there too. Modafferi, 38 years of age, 7,100 for Modafferi. Roxanne Modafferi. I don't think I've ever seen somebody do more with less athletically than Roxanne Modafferi. She is humming though out there, coming off of the win over Andrea Lee. 7,100 plus 245 underdog for Roxanne Modafferi. Tough to count Modafferi out of any fight these days. 9,100 minus 315 for Araujo. Araujo is, we saw her bounce back after the loss to Jessica Ai. Jessica Ai, I haven't heard this mentioned often, but Jessica Ai did come in overweight and didn't put any effort into making weight in that bout. And we saw down the stretch, Araujo ran out of gas, and the larger fighter took it. Modafferi, if she has success closing distance and taking Araujo to the mat, then that is her path to victory. I see her getting outstruck here, and I see Araujo's elusiveness and takedown defense being up to snuff and scoring her a victory and could potentially earn her a finish. Next up, we head to the men's 205-pound division, where we have Vinicius Moreira taking on Ike Villanueva. Ike Villanueva, 8,200 in DraftKings, minus 125 betting favorite. 36 years of age for Villanueva. This is a bottom of the barrel as far as light heavyweights go. 16-11 record for Villanueva, who's bounced around at a few different weight classes. Moreira, coming off of 3 consecutive knockout losses, has not looked good. $8,000 minus 105 at the betting window. 31 years of age. Comes in with a reach advantage here, but that isn't the story. The story is the ground game of Moreira. Looked like he was a savage on the regional scene, and then arrived in the UFC and just has gotten destroyed. This fight's not expected to go to a decision at minus 325. I'll be picking the underdog, Moreira, here. I think that if he is able to stay out of harm's way for any length of time, he should be able to lock something up against Moreira. But the potential for Villanueva to throw some strikes and then for them to land at this weight class and put Moreira out, that is a real possibility. I'll be picking the upset with Moreira here, though. Next up, we head to the co-main event of the evening, where we have a highly anticipated bout between Warlley Alves taking on Munir Lazzez. Lazzez, 33 years of age, $9,000 minus 245 betting favorite. Coming in with a head of steam. This line originally opened almost as a pick'em, and now we've got Lazzez as a minus 245 favorite, taking on Warlley Alves, who is known well in the UFC for his win over Colby Covington, but he also has a few other impressive victories out there. He's a Brazilian kickboxer, 30 years of age. He's the youngest 30-year-old the oldest looking 30-year-old I've seen on the UFC roster. It's incredible how these Brazilian fighters fly under the radar. 7,200 plus 195 underdog here. Lazzez coming in with a significant reach advantage. This fight, if Lazzez gets taken down, I am concerned, because Alves does have a legitimate jiu-jitsu game, and I am concerned that Lazzez may not be able to work his way back to the feet. There's also the reality that Alves does have a legitimate submission game, but Alves tends to hit a wall at some point during his fights. And if Lazzez is able to, I don't want to say make it through the fire, because Lazzez also has firepower of his own to throw back at Lazzez. I'll say it should be a firefight early. I think Alves, if he's smart, he was going to try to get this fight to the ground and keep Lazzez there and drain him. If Alves is unable to do that, Lazzez should turn things on and pull away in the second and third round. But give me Lazzez. Next up, we head to the main event of the evening, where we have Neil Magny taking on Michael Chiesa. Neil Magny with his 80-inch reach, coming in 33 years of age, 8,300 in DraftKings, -145 betting favorite. Interesting fight here where we have Michael Chiesa, who is an excellent grappler, 16-4 record. He will wrap you up, man. 7,900 +115 underdog, also 33 years of age. This fight is expected to go to a decision at -150. You watch how Michael Chiesa was able to control and dominate Rafael dos Anjos, Diego Sanchez, Carlos Condit on the ground. We saw how RDA was able to take care of Neil Magny when he came up to 170 pounds. Now, that doesn't tell the whole story. You can't totally rely on MMA math here. I will say if Magny is able to stay out of, avoid getting body locked, if he gets caught in a body lock and Chiesa is able to get his back after dragging him to the ground, he could ride out the round there. I have concerns about that, and I have concerns about Michael Chiesa locking up a submission here. I think that's a real possibility. The longer this goes, though, the more Neil Magny becomes live, and Neil Magny is going to have to use all of this large octagon to stay at range and do his best to pick Michael Chiesa apart with his jab. That's going to be that's going to be tough to do, but I'll be leaning ever so slightly to Neil Magny. I'll be picking him to win. I do think that both fighters here are alive, though. So give me Neil Magny to win. I want to thank everybody for coming in this morning and getting ready for this UFC Fight Island 8. You can check out my plays at MMA Oddsbreaker Premium. Follow me on Twitter at MikesMMAPicks. Have a wonderful fight morning. Go get what's yours, my friends. Let's do this.